I know y'all rocking with the intro. I know y'all rocking with the intro. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Flagrant Talk Sports Podcast Solo Edition. This video is just going to be me. I am going to break down the NBA Finals, what it's going to take for the Denver Nuggets to win a title this year, and what it's going to take for the Miami Heat to win a title this year. I'm going to break it down, talk about some things, give you some statistics, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to give my NBA Finals prediction for this year. With all of that said, let's get right into it. This finals matchup is the number 8 seed out of the Eastern Conference, the Miami Heat, going on an incredible run, eliminating the 1-seeded Bucks in the first round, then going on to beat the Knicks, and then beating the 2-seeded Celtics in 7 games, waving off that historic potential run by the C's. An incredible performance, and they've had a lot of different guys that have been able to step up and get them there. It hasn't only been Jimmy Butler this time, and I think that's why this team is playing as well as they are. On the flip side, you have the 1-seeded Denver Nuggets led by 2-time MVP Nikola Jokic. He is a superstar. He is, in my opinion, the best big man in the league, one of the best talents in all of professional basketball. He is an absolute superstar, and he has gotten some great help as well from a lot of players, especially his second in command there in Denver with Jamal Murray. With that stage set, the Miami Heat and Denver Nuggets were able to play 2 games against one another this season, in which the Denver Nuggets went on to win both of those matchups, and have also won the last 6 total matchups against each other, spanning back to the last couple of seasons. The Denver Nuggets are going for their first championship of their entire history. So there's a lot at stake here for both of these teams. The Denver Nuggets are incredibly deep. They get things from a lot of players. Obviously, Jokic deserves his flowers and gets a lot of respect, but they have a lot of other key contributors there who have really stepped up over the course of this playoffs and the regular season. This team is very deep, and they can score the ball quickly. All of a sudden, they will rattle off a lot of points very quickly. Solid and sound defensive team that doesn't just have to get a triple-double from Jokic in order to compete. Now, with that said, let's talk about some of the stars. For the Miami Heat, you obviously have Jimmy Butler. He is the leader of that Miami Heat team. He is an absolute hooper, Jimmy Butler. A great performance in the Eastern Conference Finals. He's had a great run this whole time, really keeping the team sound. He really is the anchor of that team. The second option there is Bam Adebayo, the big man, who is going to have his hands full. It's going to be talked about a lot over the course of this series of how can he do, not just offensively, which is important. He is going to have to be a factor to score 15 to 20 points a game, in my opinion, in order for them to stay alive. But defensively, how do you guard Jokic? Obviously, the Heat are going to throw a lot of things at him. It's not just going to be man on man, big on big the whole time. They're going to rotate. They're going to throw multiple guys at him, and they're going to hope to ultimately get in his head a little bit. Try and rattle him. You cannot stop Nikola Jokic. He is a force, not just in the paint, but on the perimeter. His passing is beautiful. Some of the best passing, if not the best passing that you will ever see from a big man. Bam Adebayo is going to have his hands full, and he is going to be a guy that he are going to have to turn to if they are going to pull off this upset, becoming the first 8 seed in NBA history to win a title. Over on the other side, for the Denver Nuggets, Jokic is putting up 29.9 points per game, 13.3 rebounds per game, 10.3 assists per game. Absolutely ridiculous numbers. These feel like video game numbers. And when you see him play and some of the makes that he has, ridiculous. He is an incredibly gifted player, and I'm glad that he is finally getting the flowers that he deserves after a lot of discourse about his two back-to-back MVPs. But the biggest player to really step up and come into his home is Jamal Murray. He is playing like 2020 bubble Murray, and that has been a huge addition for this Nuggets team. He's putting up 27.7 points per game, 5.5 rebounds per game, and 6.1 assists. He has been a key number two option and a reliable one at that. He has been a guy the Nuggets have been able to turn to all the time, and it's really helped not just open the floor up for Jokic, but for a lot of those role players, the Bruce Brown, the Aaron Gordon, some of those perimeter guys have really been able to thrive because of the way that Jamal Murray has been able to score and distribute the basketball. In this NBA Finals, he is going to have to be a factor yet again. And I'm very curious to see how the Miami Heat defend him. Obviously, they have a slew of guards that I'm sure you're going to see on him. You're going to see some Caleb Martin, going to see some Strus, you're going to see some Gabe Vincent, and I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some Jimmy Butler manning him up as well. The Heat were also very effective at running that zone against the Celtics. The Celtics just could not do anything with that. They were totally rattled. So I think you can expect Eric Spoelstra and the Heat to really work on that as well to try and disrupt the Nuggets however they can on a game-to-game basis. It's a tall task for a team that scores that well. Now, pivoting from the star players, let's talk about some of the key role players. The key role players, starting with the Miami Heat, have ultimately been the reason they're here. Butler has done what you would expect Jimmy Butler to do, and Bam Adebayo has been decent. You're hoping, if you're a Heat fan or the Miami Heat organization, that Bam can really step up, especially offensively. If he's a guy that can put up 20 a game for them. But the Heat have gotten big-time contributions from their role players. Caleb Martin looked like the best player for the Miami Heat in the 7-game series against the Boston Celtics. He was hitting shots that I honestly did not even know that he could make. He was playing ridiculous 19.3 points per game in the Eastern Conference Finals. In my opinion, there's even a gap. I think he was that good for the Heat in terms of being their best player. So he's a guy, maybe he can't replicate what he did in that 7-game series, but if he can play at 80% of that level, be a guy consistently every night, give him 15, 16 points per game, that's gonna go a long way. In addition to that, Gabe Vincent, 15.8 points per game last series. Duncan Robinson, 11.4 and 9.4 for Max Strus. The Heat have been dealing with injuries through these playoffs. No Victor Oladipo with his injury and Tyler Hero being banged up. But this is a perfect segue into discussing Tyler Hero. He is projected, I believe, Chris Haynes said this, that Tyler Hero will be back somewhere around game 3. So when they head back to Miami for a game 3 after the first 2 games in Denver, you could see Tyler Hero back. And that's a guy who is going to help the Heat space the floor and that they hope can be another offensive weapon, kind of lessen the load on those role players so they feel like they don't have to do everything for that team. I'm very curious to see how Hero is. I'm curious to see if the Nuggets kind of, chase after him, try and get at him early and often when he does return. To see if he can handle it defensively, kind of blitzing him almost on offense to see what he can do. But there's no doubt that Tyler Hero, if he's healthy, at maybe not 100%, but like 90%, that he can be a guy that the Heat can turn to again and have as another weapon to go along with those role players. Ultimately, if the Heat are going to pull off this historic run and cap the year off with the title, it's going to come down to those role players. They have to play well again. This isn't something there that they can afford for those guys to okay, cool, we got this far. We'll try and lessen the load up a little bit. They need them to continue performing well. On the flip side, the Denver Nuggets, who, in my opinion, are just one of, if not the most complete team in basketball. Obviously, Jokic and Murray, but Michael Porter Jr. coming in with 14.6, Aaron Gordon with 13 in the play. These are playoff stats, 13 points per game in the playoffs. Bruce Brown, 12.2, KCP with 11.7, and Christian Braun has been a very solid player, a legit defender, and just a great athlete to go put out there on the court for the Nuggets as well. It really does come down oftentimes to that kind of 7-man rotation of guys, 7-8 guys that can come in for the Nuggets and all contribute. This is a team for the Nuggets that I feel a little more confident in, that I know the role players, the Aaron Gordons, the Bruce Browns, the KCPs, the Michael Porter Jr., that those guys will show up, that they will be a factor for the Denver Nuggets. They've only continued to prove themselves in that department. So I ultimately think it's going to come down to what set of role players can really, really step up and elevate their team to a title. I know Jimmy Butler is going to perform well. I know Nikola Jokic is going to perform well. Who is the third best player in this series? Can it be Bam for the Heat? Can it be Murray? Can he continue to stay hot with the basketball and be that number 3? That's going to be important. And what role players are really going to stick out on this run? What guy is going to come in and have some amazing and electric defensive possessions, or going to hit a couple threes and that ultimately wins them a game and steals a game on the road? Those are the kind of things that you're looking at when you're evaluating this series. And it's going to go a long way in terms of solidifying a team and winning a title. So I've set the stage. I've explained what it's going to take for the Nuggets to win a title, their first ever, or for the Miami Heat to win a title, and Jimmy Butler to finally get one to add on to his legacy. I said a couple episodes ago that regardless of who comes out of the Eastern Conference, my pick would be the Denver Nuggets. I think they're consistent. I think I feel confident when I see them play. I know what I'm going to get from that team. And as some time has passed and as I've spent some time thinking about how the Miami Heat are going to match up with them, what it's going to take, I've decided to stick with that take. I feel good, and I'm going to continue backing the Denver Nuggets to win a title. I have them winning a championship in 6 games, solidifying Nikola Jokic, 2-time MVP, getting his first ring, potentially of multiple. I think if the Nuggets win this, it's really going to solidify him even higher on the all-time greats list. I feel hesitant to count out the Heat because it seems like every single series they're counted out. And so if the Heat did win this, it would not surprise me in the slightest. They have a talented roster and they have the best coach in basketball, in my opinion. Guys who are stepping up and getting hot at the perfect time. But I trust Denver. I think they're complete. They're deeper than the Heat, and I can rely on them just a little bit more to win a title than the Miami Heat. I expect a well-fought series. Easily could be a 7-game series that comes down to the last couple possessions, but ultimately, my finals pick will be the Nuggets in 6, the first title in Denver's history. Very exciting stuff. I hope you enjoyed this solo video. Feel free to leave your own take. Who do you got winning the ring? You got Miami? They gonna cap off and be the first 8 seed to ever win a title? Or are you feeling like the 1-seeded Nuggets are legit? They're gonna get their first one, and Jokic is going to skyrocket himself as an all-time great. My name's Isaiah. Thank you for joining us on the Flagrant Talk Sports Podcast. We hope to see you stick around. Have a great day. Thank you.